and welcome back to Reading Club. So today I'm going to read you a book called The Thief Who Stole Nothing. Chronicles, The Thief Who Stole Nothing. Before you begin, dear reader, before you begin this chronicle, you should know that Biff, Chip, and friends have become time runners. They are based in the Time Vault, a place that exists outside time. Their mission is to travel back in time to defeat the virons. Virons are dark energy in human form. Their aim is to destroy history and so bring chaos to the future. The Time Runners have to be brave and self-reliant. They have a zap trap, which is a device to capture the virons. They also have a link, which is a bit like a mobile phone disguised as a yo-yo. The link lets them communicate with the Time Vault. Apart from that, when on a mission, they are very much on their own. Theodore Mortlock, Time Guardian. Chapter 1. It was late. Nina was worn out. She had been helping Tyler sort out the books in the Time Vault library. So many of them, she sighed as she climbed up the ladder with a handful of books. Whoops! 2 of the books slipped and fell to the floor. Sorry! Tyler leaned out of his techno chair to pick up the books Nina had dropped. Most books in the library were about history. He had spent days sorting them out. Then he had numbered them and arranged them so that he knew where each one was. There's nothing we can't find out about the history of the world, he said proudly. Nina grinned. But not from the dusty books of this old time, she said. They are all in strange languages. Tyler smiled. A lot of these books are ancient, hundreds of years old. He picked up a battered folder of faded papers covered in a strange writing and symbols that looked a bit like numbers. I think this one is written in Sanskrit. It must be from ancient India, he said. Then his stomach turned over. Nina, look! Don't tell me you can read Sanskrit. Nina laughed. No, not that, said Tyler. Something just happened to the writing itself. Within a moment, it happened again. Before their eyes, the numbers faded to nothing and then returned to normal. Nina shuddered. What does it mean? Tyler frowned. It's as if it's about to disappear, about to be wiped out by virons, interrupted Nina. These numbers must be important, said Tyler. What if the numbers were to do with a discovery in science or maths? Sometimes in the past, a viron might be trying to stop the discovery. That could be why the numbers are fading here. They're in danger of disappearing, wiped from history. Nina ran through the library. Come on, Tyler, let's check the time web. Chapter 2. It's a mystery, muttered Tyler, tapping the keys of the matrix. There's no sign of trouble. Are you sure those papers were from India? Said Nina. Why not do a general search? If we find nothing, we'll call Mortlock. Tyler tapped the search key. The time warp slowly turned in front of them. They didn't have to wait long. Low down on the web was a small bruise of darkness. There! Shouted Tyler. He flicked on the globe. The 8th century AD. The newly built city of Baghdad. Not India after all. Nina grabbed her link and zap trap. Send me out now, she demanded. I'll check it out. If I need help, you can wake the others. Chapter 3. From the shadows of an alley, a flock of white doves took flight. As the doves soared into the evening sky, Baghdad stretched out beneath them. The dusty pattern of narrow streets, canals, and market squares were lit by thousands of tiny lanterns. Below the doves, the river Tigris flowed lazy past. At the river's edge, a dark figure pulled aside a grating and stepped into the underground water channel that ran beneath the city. The doves flew on over a large circular palace. Then they flew back to the alley where they had taken off. If anyone had watched where the doves landed, they would have seen Nina step out of the shadows, pull a shawl around her face, and join the crowded street. Nina looked around excitedly. There were people everywhere. They crowded around stalls, packed with delicious-smelling foods and spices, colorful silks and jewelry. There were even stalls selling the latest invention from China, paper. "Tyler," Nina whispered into her link. "Where do I start? The virons could be anywhere. I haven't got a chance." From the link, Tyler's voice sounded thin and distant. "We know it has something to do with that old paper we found in the library," he said. "That's our only clue." "Maybe there's a library or something here," wondered Nina. But before Tyler had time to reply, Nina had to snap the link shut. Someone was shouting at her, "Hey, make way! Books for the House of Wisdom!" Everyone cleared the middle of the street as the line of camels walked through, led by a small girl. The animals swayed under the weight of the heavy wooden chests as they were carrying. Some of the chests were open. They were full of books and scrolls. Thought Nina. Whatever the House of Wisdom is, it seems like a good place to start. Chapter 4. There was no mistaking the House of Wisdom. It was the magnificent circular palace at the far end of the city. Nina followed the camels and watched them as they were unloaded. As they rested, the camels drank deeply from a water channel that came from beneath the palace wall. Download from Tyler. The House of Wisdom, huge library run by world's leading scholars. Get this. They translate written stuff from all around the known world. The sound of raised voices made Nina look up. The camel girl was arguing with the guard at the gates. Nina crouched behind one of the wooden chests to hear what they were saying. "The House of Wisdom is closed," snapped the guard. "In the last 2 nights, precious papers on mathematics have been stolen from the library. Everywhere is on guard." "But we need to be paid," protested the girl. "We have brought many books for the library all the way from Greece." "I don't care how far you've traveled," sneered the guard. "Come back tomorrow." Tyler listened to Nina over the link. "Do you think the old papers we saw was one of the things stolen?" she whispered. "No," replied Tyler. "It's still okay. I can still see the writing, so it can't have been destroyed. Maybe the virons haven't found it yet, but you can be sure they'll try again." "But if everywhere is under guard," asked Nina, "how did the virons get in?" "Maybe it was an inside job," replied Tyler. "But how can I get inside to find out?" said Nina. "The gates are guarded." At that moment, a man in long robes walked angrily towards the guard. He was one of the library's scholars. Something about him made Nina feel uneasy. The scholar pointed at the camel driver. "Wait, we will take the books now, but you must wait outside." Nina saw her chance. She climbed inside a half-empty chest and closed the lid. It was cramped and stuffy inside the chest, but at last it was dropped heavily on the ground. "At least I am inside the library walls," Nina thought. She lifted the lid and peeked out. She was in a large courtyard surrounded by many arches, each lit with a brass lantern. Within every arch, people were busy writing or reading, talking or teaching. To her horror, she caught sight of the scholar. He was opening each chest in turn and examining the contents. The scholar moved closer, muttering to himself. Nina carefully closed her lid. She sat in the cramped darkness. Her hand found a zap trap. She held her breath and waited. At last, she heard the scholar's hand touch the lid of the chest she was hiding in. "This is it," she thought. The lid opened slightly. The scholar's fingers curled inside. Nina was terrified, but strangely, she didn't feel cold like she had done near other virons. Suddenly, she heard the excited voice of someone running into the courtyard and calling out to the scholar. The scholar's fingers relaxed and slid away. The lid of the chest dropped heavily. She was safe for now. Chapter 6. The horseman had ridden day and night across the vast desert from the distant plains of India. Beneath his robes, he carried a sheaf of papers written in Sanskrit. On his journey, they had almost been stolen from him. The horseman could not read the papers, but he knew how important they were, how they had to reach the House of Wisdom without fail. It was this horseman who had finally seen the jewel-like city of Baghdad in the distance. It was he who had ridden quickly through its busy streets. It was he who had demanded that the gates of the a house of wisdom be unlocked for him, and he who had run through the courtyards calling for the scholar. Finally, it was he who had found the scholar at the moment he was about to open the chest where Nina hid. Chapter 7. The scholar gripped the papers tightly. He sat heavily on the chest. Nina flinched as the lid groaned under his weight. "So it is true," he said, staring into the eyes of the dusty horseman. "They have invented a new number." The horseman shook his head. "I cannot imagine such a thing." The scholar lowered his voice. "Come, we cannot discuss this here," he said. "It is too dangerous. A new number. It will change the way we think. It will change history." A download from Tyler lit up Nina's link. "Virons must be closing in," it said. "The papers have faded to almost nothing." Nina knew she had to act. She climbed out of the chest and followed. The two men entered the great library. The scholar paused by the guards at the doors. He did not want them to hear. "You can go home," he told them. Nina was sure that once inside, he was going to destroy the papers. When the guards had gone, Nina crept into the huge room. It was stacked with papers, books, and scrolls. The only place to hide was behind a large Persian rug hanging from a gallery. Quietly, she climbed the gallery steps, squatted down, and waited for her moment. "Nothing," the scholar muttered. "The Indians call it sunya. It means empty, zero." "Zero," Nina gasped. The number they had discovered was 0, a naught. "But how can nothing be a number?" the horseman asked. "How can I count to nothing? How can I measure a shape that has sides of nothing? There must always be something." The scholar held the paper close to the flame of a lamp and stared hard. Nina tensed. Was he about to set fire to it? "See," he cried. He pointed at the figure 0 on the paper. "By using this number 0, we can write about 110, 100, 1000 so easily. You could write any number using a combination of 10 simple symbols. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Who knows what else it can do?" "No one will ever know," a chilling voice hissed in the darkness. "Give." "Who's there?" shouted the two men. Chapter 8. Nina felt dizzy with fear. Where had the voice come from? There was nothing there. A movement from the stone floor caught her eye. A metal grating that led to the water channels beneath the city slowly rose. Long, ice-white fingers pushed the grating aside. The viron oozed from the hole like the darkest slime. "Mine!" the viron snarled, snatching the paper from the terrified men. Then he turned and jumped down the hole. Without thinking, Nina grabbed hold of the Persian rug and slid down. The rug fell quickly after her, covering the two men in its folds. The viron was already waddling along the underground tunnel by the time Nina had climbed into it. She could see his outline some way ahead. Was he too far to catch? At that moment, her link went off. A download. "The paper is blank," it said simply. Nina stopped. This couldn't be the end of numbers, could it? Nina began to run through the shallow water. She had to get close enough to the viron for the zap trap to work. Then the viron stopped and turned. To Nina's horror, he began to run back towards her. With him, he brought an icy blackness like a chilling dense stain along the tunnel. From out of his cold darkness, the viron's voice hissed, "You will never succeed." Nina gripped his zap trap and pulled her arms back. As she threw it, she briefly wondered if it was safe near water. The zap trap corkscrewed its way down the tunnel. "Your number's up!" Nina screamed. The viron raised his arm and opened his mouth as if to shout before exploding in a crackling shower of sparks. There was no one in the library when Nina climbed back out of the tunnel. "They must have gone to get the guards," she thought. As she placed the damp paper on the scholar's table, a download came from Tyler. "Ace! All writing back safely. Use position finder on your link. Location is 302000 N.44 2605 E. Portal will be waiting to bring you home. Numbers, she thought. Where would we be without them? So that's the end of this book. I hope you enjoyed my readings. And if you did, please click many likes and subscribe, Reading Club. So I'll come back later with a new and improved channel. Bye everybody. See you later.